Hello, and welcome to 5 Question Friday. I'm Joe Silva, and I'm the VP of Sales for Kokua Technologies. For those of you who may not be familiar with Kokua, we are a service company that happens to provide technology support. How we do this is by providing full service protection, support, and maintenance for companies with a size of one up to multi-million dollar projects moving 60 plus locations to the cloud and everything in between. Kokua realizes that our local business community still really needs our support. So 5 Question Friday is a way for you to get to know these local business owners a little better, a little more intimately. And how you can help is by liking and sharing these posts so that others get to do the same. Now, in appreciation of doing that, you will be entered into a drawing for a reward from another local business. So please help us by spreading the word and liking and sharing, and sit back and enjoy 5 Question Friday. Remember, locals only.
Without further ado, I want to welcome Justin Deal. Justin is a VP at PayDay Employer Solutions. He attended Wagner University on a football scholarship. For those who have never seen Justin, you're probably not surprised. He has a quite decent stature, though he has lost quite a bit of weight recently and really gotten fit and dedicated himself to physical fitness. So hats off to that. Those who know him know he's really, really pushing forward in that area. He's happily married, wonderful wife, Gina. He's father of four from Washington Township. Now he's run his payroll business, PayDay, with his mother for 10 years. It's a family-run business. Through the last decade, Justin and PayDay, they've helped service over 2,200. That's 2,200 businesses. Amazing. And what is amazing is the relationships and referrals that have, of course, stemmed from that. Justin prides himself as being a connector, and he definitely is always that person who has that guy for any business owner's needs. So always reach out to Justin if you have a question, whether it be payroll related or not. He definitely will know somebody, because after all, as I say, PayDay always has your back. So Justin, thank you so much for being here today for 5 Question Friday.
Joe, thanks so much for the opportunity and for having me.
Justin, absolutely, it's our pleasure. So I want to jump right in to the first of the 5 questions for you. Now, for those who don't know PayDay, it is a family business, and it's family, of course, being you and your mother, but also just the feel of the organization. And we at Kokua can absolutely appreciate that. How would you describe your company's workplace culture?
So family honestly kind of is the answer to that. It's we've created a big family, and oddly enough, our other partner, Rich, his son Jake also works with us. Mark Ring, who is our operations manager, has been one of my best friends my entire life. He actually married my cousin. So there's a lot of inner workings within that. But the beauty is we've had most of our staff has been with us for at least 5 years. And in those 5 years, we've gone through a lot of personal and professional highs and lows with them, right? We've had, unfortunately, some folks with cancer. We've had other families, family members affected by cancer. We've seen deaths, but we've seen a lot of celebrations as well. So, I think the biggest thing is that our staff knows that, we're there for them. And I think especially over these last 2 years, we've gotten to the point where, my mother specifically has gotten out of working in the business and more working on it. And by doing that, we've been able to really grow, give people a better trajectory for their lives. We do things like we build a gym in our office just to help with, the health of everybody. We do coaching for our entire staff through the Tony Robbins program that my mother's in. So we're very invested in our staff, and we don't want to just be, I think a lot of times businesses, the owners, they kind of take everything, right? They're the highest paid, they're doing all these fancy things. But we really want to make sure that the people around us, we're bringing them up in life as well. And it's not just on the business side. Again, it's really about the personal. And we'll get into more about like the health kick that you had mentioned with me. And it's one of the few things that we constantly have control over in life, and that's the thing that we're trying to really help our staff with. So we have folks of all ages, and it's really trying to help them just ensure that they can continue to build the beautiful life that they deserve, and whatever that means, and however we can support them. So culture is by far one of the most important things for us, because we understand that we wouldn't be where we are today without many people within our organization. And honestly, that means everything to us, and them being happy and continuing to build a better life is really what this is all about.
Justin, that's awesome. It sounds like you really are dedicated to your business and not just the business, but obviously the people in it and beyond the production, but they're really their lives. So that's amazing. And you know, as a type of business that you have, you're working in the community. Do you do anything within the community? Do you give back to the community? How is your involvement within the community itself?
Yeah, absolutely. So we love to be hands-on. We'll make monetary donations as well. I donate a portion of my sales each month to different nonprofits. But we love to work with like the Ronald McDonald House, especially when it was more in person. We're actually gearing up to do that for the holidays now. We've worked with Gift of Life, and then several other ones in the area. But me personally, I'm on the business development board for Bancroft. My oldest daughter is on the autism spectrum. So it's something that's very near and dear to my heart. And it's something that we've been very just fortunate in general. We have an amazing village around us. So we haven't needed all of the different things and services that Bancroft provides for families. But I know that there's a lot of families out there that aren't as fortunate. That's why I really want to bring more awareness to them. Because honestly, I had no idea they existed a few years ago. And Devin Denofa, a friend of ours, had got me involved with them. And I guess I did a good enough job that they invited me to be on their board as well. And it's been amazing just to see how they impact the community and kind of help other families that I somewhat understand their struggles. A lot of theirs are a lot deeper than ours. And it's just amazing to know that they have outlets and there's, I have the slightest impact, to help them. And then I'm also with Project Refit. I'm on their board as well. Their mission is obviously to help veterans, ultimately to battle the PTSD and suicide rates. And just working with those guys, it's amazing to see the momentum. I know you know them as well, Joe, and I've known them since they were, a business. And now to really see them, thriving and gaining a lot of traction and being all over the U.S. and flying out. I actually just ran into their owner, Dan, on my trip back from Denver. We saw each other in the airport on the way home, and he was telling me about the gains that they had made over that last week. So we do quite a bit in the community. I'm looking to do even more, specifically in Washington Township, where I grew up. I just feel like there's a lot of opportunity, especially for the families in this area. And as a leader and a business owner, I think I need to be more vocal and be more present in my own community. So that's really going to be the goal for 2022.
That's excellent, Justin. You're exactly right. It does take a village, and you sound like you're very fortunate. I know that for a fact, to have a lot of caring people who are vested in your success as a person and your family as well around you. And yes, you're right. I mean, Project Refit and some of these other organizations you belong to are amazing organizations, and my hat's off to you for dedicating that time. And it is time. It's a commitment, but it sounds like it's something that you're really dedicated to. I mean, I appreciate Project Refit. My father was in the Army 27 years, and 6 of my uncles were in the military as well. So it's near and dear to my heart as well, veterans. But you're really moving forward and taking those active roles, and that's what we need. As a local business community is people moving forward. And I know we've been fortunate to be surrounded by those types of leaders and people who are motivated in that direction. So I'm going to ask this question. I think one of them is almost obvious to be, I would say you and your mother, but what would you say is unique about PayDay Employer Solutions?
So honestly, outside of like the culture side, it's really what we bring to our clients. So I know you're familiar with my space as well. Payroll has unfortunately become such an overly commoditized industry that most of the big guys now say, hey, here's a website, here's a call center, good luck. So what we really try to do is to be that resource, to be that partner, not just a vendor, not just somebody who you can call in, you can read email blogs for, but somebody who's truly keeping you up to date with all that's going on. Over these last 2 years through the pandemic, payroll has become something that is no longer just cut and dry. It's not just taxes anymore. There's all these variables that are going in with PPP loans, with employee retention credits, with the FFCRA and paying folks when they are sick with COVID. It's not something you can really do internally, and it's not something you can just do on a website and kind of know what to do. So we absorb all of those headaches. We really help people navigate in that gray area. We work a lot with accountants, and accountants are typically very black and white, right? Because it's the way things read. And honestly, at the end of the year, makes things a little easier for them to stay within those lines. But it's become so gray that you really need somebody who's going to maybe go into that area and explain to you, here are the pros and cons of if you do this, and if you take the money, here's the risks that could be involved. And that's where we're here for. We understand. I've talked to almost every client we've had over the last 2 years. We've personally called and reached out to, outside of just, the questions they have there, but what their needs are. And the vast majority of them have said the same thing. Like, they don't have time to go on a website or read your email blasts, or they need answers now, and they need them in a format that they can go back and forth, ask their questions, get their answers, and move forward. They don't want to spend 20 minutes reading a blog to then have a million questions to sit on, hold for 30 minutes to get an answer. And that's where we're really, we're 30-second answers. We're real people. We're no call centers. We're no gimmicks. It's truly what you get is what you see. And it's a family-run business who really cares about you and wants to continue to provide for you, even if it's something outside of our scope. That's the beautiful thing I talk about, is that we're relationship builders, not breakers. So like you had kind of mentioned earlier, I really pride myself on having a guy or gal for everything. So if there is something that is a pain point in your business, we want to help you with that. Just because it's not payroll related means you shouldn't call me. If you're having a problem in your business and you don't want to sift through the Google and the Yelp reviews and figure out who's best to do what, pick up the phone and call me, or my mother, or somebody on our staff, and we will get an answer for you. We might not have it right away, but if you give us a day or so, I can almost guarantee you we'll come up with some great options for you. And I think that's really what differentiates us these days. Is it's the care, it's the time, it's the effort, it's the passion that we really put into our clients. It's not just about the transactions. We're really about that emotional connection, the support, and really being there as a true partner.
I couldn't agree with you more, Justin. That's if I were to say anything about your company without question, that would be it. I mean, I think today, I knew this from being 18 years in financial services, and then prior to the over 4 years before I came here, people often ask, how could you go from one to the other? What's the different, or it seems so different? I said, reality is this: I solve problems. I'm a solution provider. You're a counselor at that point. And I think that's the piece that you're saying, and I know that that's true, is that you are a resource. You are a valued resource. A lot of things today can be commoditized in how we can go online. Information can be commoditized, but without having a sounding board or a true trusted partner that they can communicate with to find out, is that information correct and how does it apply to them specifically, you're lost. You could be even more confused. So that component of what you provide is an amazing piece, along with all the other pieces that they know a business or person or anybody knows they can go to you and get an answer, and they can trust that answer. And that's an amazing thing to bring to the community, obviously. So it does, clearly you are extremely excited and passionate about what you do. So this may seem like an odd question, but we can take it two ways. Let's say you never got into payroll. You're fresh out of college. You decided to walk away from that $1 billion football contract, and you said, you know what, I'm not going to do that. NFL, forget about you. Or it's right now, and you say, the business is doing certain things right now. It's so great. I can actually take time to do this. And you were to choose to go and start another kind of business, any other kind of business. What kind of business would you start?
So I would definitely, my new biggest passion has been health. And I would really love to help people with their journey. So as, a former D1 athlete, I to be blatantly honest, I got fat. I was a big, fluffy, 6'4", 315-pound guy who was doing well in business, but was failing in a lot of other aspects of my life. And I've realized now, with going through this journey, that the vast majority of that stemmed from where I was as an individual in my health. It literally pulled apart like what my self-esteem was. It was just the energy that I had to give people. It was the clarity in my brain. My health literally just poured over into all these other cups. And what I've found now when I have conversations with people is that I already know the excuses that they're going to give me before they give them. Because I've been there. I've used them all. I have 4 kids. I run a business. I'm out of my prime. I'm getting older. It's not possible to have that kind of a body anymore. And I've proven it in less than a year. In 6 months of hard work and consistent work, I dropped almost 80 pounds. And it was by not living by excuses. It was by having a non-negotiable everyday routine that I kept up with and I still keep up with. And it's mostly thanks to 75 Hard, and that really instilled all the habits that I needed in life, and really transformed the way that I thought in general. But now it would definitely be something in that space, because I see it. I know you see it as well. There's so many people around us who are crushing business, but you look at them and they are not crushing their health, or they are just not, the father that they could be, or the husband they could be, or vice versa, the wife, the mother. And a lot of that just stems from that initial health kick. As silly as that sounds, it really perpetuates the way you feel about yourself, which is what you then give to others. So if you're not living at your best, how can you give anybody else anything close to that? And I don't know what the business would be. I don't know if it would be more of like a coaching role, or I'm not sure. But that's something that I'm so passionate about. And I'm kind of tired of allowing people to give themselves those excuses. I was always a guy that I champion everybody, right? You've been around me. Usually my happiness and spirit are pretty contagious. But I always gave people the easy out when I did that as well. And I've realized through years, that's not what real leaders do. You got to call people on their BS when they're feeding it to you, because they're honestly wasting your time and their time by even exacerbating that idea. So I would love to help people get out of their own way and find the best version of themselves. So we have more strong-minded, strong-bodied individuals, which is what I feel like our nation needs these days.
I couldn't agree with you 1,000,000% more. I went through, and I know this, I did a similar thing a few years back and lost about 60 pounds. And it was for a similar thing. We used to use this analogy in financial services and say, you had a machine sitting in the middle of your office that you turn the crank on it and it would spit out thousands of dollars each week, thousands of dollars. How much would you invest in that to take care of it, to make sure it operated smoothly, efficiently, never broke down? That machine is you, right? Especially as a business owner, that's what we're talking a lot. You are that person. I used to talk about it on the sense of the insurance side and say, you have to take care of yourself. If you don't, then you need to make sure to have insurance, because if the day comes and you're not here, physically, psychologically, emotionally, you can't replace you, but financially, there's a piece. The problem is most people aren't looking at that. They aren't looking at it that way, and you're right. When they start to, though, when they do walk down that path that you have become truly an example for, and I know I've seen a ton of other people following your lead, is that they know that, they understand it. Because once they feel it, then they don't want to let it go. And I think it seems to be more so later in life. When you're young, you take that for granted, right? And when you're older, it's amazing. It's like a rebirth. And when you have kids, family that you care about, and you realize how much more invested you could be with them, just movement by physically being there and active, it's amazing. So absolutely hats off to you. Let me know when you get started with that, because obviously I think I know a guy who could be a partner for you on the side there. Just, he might just be on pictures and stuff, because, things like that, but he is, still be interested. But that's excellent. I want to see that take off for you for sure. So this is a question, and by the way, 75 Hard, for anyone who's interested. If you don't know, that's an Andy Frisella thing, an excellent person to listen to, podcast wise, for motivation. But 75 Hard has helped a lot of people move forward. Very good blueprint to get to where you need to go. I know another guy who does jiu-jitsu with me and in boxing. He's doing it right now. Big guy, 6'7". I don't even know his weight. It's a lot, because I've had to go against him a few times, but he's doing it right now. So absolutely, just whatever you need to do, if you're feeling you're in that spot, absolutely move forward. That's great. Speaking of another podcaster is Tim Ferriss. So, and this kind of is modeled after 5 Questions Friday. And he asked a question the final question I'm going to ask you is, if you were to have to gift a book, or you have to say, what should every business owner, what book should they read? So either way, it's kind of the same question. What book would you recommend?
So I would say 2. So I was somebody who was never a reader. As you know, 75 Hard, that's part of the daily habits that you do. And it's something that's honestly changed my life. And 2 books that have most spoken to me were The Go-Giver and The 4 Agreements. So The Go-Giver, I feel like anybody, especially somebody like myself who is new to sales, The Go-Giver is a perfect blueprint for how you build relationships, and long-lasting relationships, and the right way to go about giving and go about business. As I alluded to earlier, you don't want to be transactional. And that's really what my industry specifically was about. Thanks for your payroll, on to the next one. Thanks for your payroll, got to hit my monthly quota. If I don't, I'm out the door. And that's not how you thrive. That's just not how business is done. People have to emotionally connect with you. They have to like, know, and trust you. And the way you can do that is what I was saying that was more unique about us, is you're that resource for people. You constantly look to help others and to help pull them up. I'm not looking for that handout. I have my hand out so I can help people and pull them up. And that's really what that book encompasses. And that was a lot of it. As I read, I was like, wow, I do some of this stuff naturally, which was so nice to read and see, like, that's inside of me. But there were so many things that I could still do and do better and refine. And that's how that book opened my eyes. And then with the 4 agreements, I mean, that's just something like life, right? Basically to, be a man of your word or woman of your word, to not assume things, to not take things personally, and to pretty much always give your best. I mean, if you only do those 4 things in life, you'll succeed, right? I mean, like Tony Montana said, right? Our word is one of the few things that we have, and I'm not breaking it for anybody. If you can constantly always come forward with anything that you promise people, you are going to build the best relationship ever, because they know that you're reliable. You're always going to be their guy, because Justin has never done me wrong. Everything he said, he delivered on. Assumptions are another thing. We're both in the Harvest coaching community, Joe, and Coach Dana talked about that when he was on our one call, that you can either be a mechanical or you can be emotional. And assumptions just play with the emotions in our body. Most of it isn't, most of it's not fact-based. It's the stories that we've created in our head. And we will just let that run wild at times. So if you can cut down on the assumptions before they even happen, especially when they're not fact-based, you're just going to move forward quicker. And then not taking things personally. I think that's hard for most people. But when you realize that people above you never will criticize you, you start to not worry about the people beneath you who have something to say. So just don't take the things personally, right? Most people who are doing better than you, they're so focused on themselves, they don't really care what you're doing, right? Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, they're going to allow you to keep doing your space. And at some point, they'll probably champion you if you get on their radar, because they see what you're doing. But it's true. It's truly typically only the people below you who will say things that you'll allow, for whatever reason, that criticism, you'll take it personal, and you shouldn't. And then just doing your best. I mean, we've been told that since we were probably 5 years old, right? Give 110% in everything you do. And if that's something that you can stick with, all 4 of those things, that in itself in that book will lead to so much success and just better relationships with everybody around you. Not even business-wise, that'll affect your personal life, business life, everything. It'll just make the world around us better if we could all live that way.
Justin, 2 excellent books, and I couldn't endorse that anymore. Just as you said, The Go-Giver is what I've always lived on, and that's just it's. I don't know any other way to do business except by building those relationships, and I know that you as well. Knowing you, that's absolutely what you do. But only in these interviews would you really have The Go-Giver, the 4 agreements, and Tony Montana in the same sphere of relation, which is excellent. Only Justin Deal could bring that to you. Great stuff, but absolutely correct though in that connection. So great books, great choices. Appreciate it. So we are wrapped up with our 5 questions. The one thing I'm going to ask Justin, if you could, for those who are watching, could you let us know or let them know how they can get in touch with your website, your Facebook, all your details there?
Yeah, absolutely. So website is PayDay ES as employersolutions.com. So PayDay ES. You can follow me on social media. So it's either PayDay Employer Solutions for the company page. If you want to have a little more fun, I would probably follow my personal page as well. So just Justin Deal. And that's like Let's Make a Deal, DEAL. I think it's probably right here. And then Instagram is jdeal6972, and LinkedIn is also Justin Deal. So you'll see a picture of myself and my beautiful family or my beautiful wife. Easiest way to find me. I would love to connect with anybody. If I can help you in any way, please don't ever hesitate to reach out. And Joe, thanks so much for what you're doing. This is a beautiful piece. It's great that you're helping bring more exposure to local communities or local companies within the community. It just shows how great you guys are, how much you care, and the differences you're willing to make. So thanks for taking action.
Justin, absolutely our pleasure. And thank you for taking the time to be on, because you're absolutely the type of person in business and company that we would love to highlight. And I'm just glad to have you on. So thanks again for everyone watching. That is it. We, again, would encourage you to like and share to help out the local business, help out Payday Payroll, PayDay Employer Services. And by liking and sharing the post. And again, for those who do, you'll be entered into a drawing for a reward for a Brico coal-fired pizza. And the reward is just a topping. The pizza is just a topping on the cake, because what you're doing by liking and sharing is really investing in the local community and helping them to provide the services they need to put food on the table for their families, and to provide the services that you need locally, because that's what it's all about, right? Local loves local. So again, remember, everybody, locals only.